Hey everyone, my name is Obi, co-founder and CEO of theCut. Today I'm here to talk to you about a very common problem that a lot of people have when they start businesses, and that's how to get customers when you have no money. But first, let me go ahead and give you a little bit about myself and theCut. In 2016, one of my best friends from high school, we bonded over having such bad haircut experiences. We both graduated a couple years before. I got my degree in economics, him in software development. And so we spent a couple years working and really realized there was a huge problem around finding great barbers and getting great haircuts. So we bonded after playing basketball one night, and we decided that we were the right people to go ahead and solve this problem. So in 2016, we built the first version of theCut, released it on iOS. In 2017, we released our app on Android. And today we've grown to more than 65,000 barbers around the country with just about 2 million total users, and we've booked over 16 million appointments in total. Customer acquisition is the process of getting people to either try, buy, or engage with a new product or a brand. Customer acquisition cost, or CAC, is how much it costs for you to get people to either try, buy, or engage with your new product or brand. CAC, or the customer acquisition cost, can be simple, but it also can be more complex. The easiest way to start off is to just look at the total amount that you spend to get people to find or discover your product, and then divide that by the number of customers that you have coming through. But if you want to get more specific, you definitely want to look at breaking it down by the various channels or places that you marketed to people, whether that be Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, whichever platform you found more successful. And then you want to compare that with people who are qualified versus people who just engage. So somebody may come by and just view your page, but then you also want to look at people who view and then make a purchase. So yeah, customer acquisition costs can be easy, but as you grow, you want to be more specific in trying to calculate that cost. The LTV, or lifetime value of a customer, is basically what that customer is worth to you and your company over some time period. If you're talking about mobile apps and software, you want to start looking at churn, and that's basically how long before a customer stops using your app. But if you're talking about products, you will then look at how many times does somebody buy from you over a given period. That may be a month, that may be a year. It depends on what your product is. But once you've figured out that time frame, you look at how many times they made a purchase and what that's worth to you, and that's how you determine your LTV. The biggest misconception with acquiring customers is that if you build it, they will come. Most businesses die because people couldn't reach enough customers to validate their idea. Product market fit is once you've built a product that people need to have and you found an initial core set of users who really want your product. So when it comes to marketing, that is very key, and it's not easy to do. You'll have to try a bunch of different things. You may try 8, 9, 10 different things, but it's the 11th marketing campaign that you run that finally works. The customer acquisition funnel is the way to visualize all the various touch points it takes before a customer becomes familiar with your brand. Studies have shown that it can take up to 7 times for someone to really become familiar and to remember your ad or your company. And it may not take 7. It all depends on what your company is, but you want to be able to visualize the entire flow or path that someone takes to becoming introduced to your company. You'll need a customer acquisition funnel because people may see your ad at a very, very similar product and then search that product on Google and see all their alternatives and then visit your site for the first time. Then they'll watch a YouTube video and see testimonials or reviews of what people have to say. Or they may ask their friend and throw up a poll on IG. So you want to understand how people interact and how people become familiar or trust your brand, because that's very important on how you can better be more efficient with your marketing and really spend your time and money wisely. Because that's the most important and the most expensive part of building a business is marketing. And so you want to make sure that all your efforts are going to return incredible amounts of value. You create a customer acquisition funnel by mapping out the various touch points that you've discovered while researching or talking to your customers. So once you talk to a large number of people about how they came in contact with your company or what led them to their purchasing or buying decisions, then you can kind of map that out and start from A to Z, or 1 to 7, whatever that may be, and list out all the different ways or places that people came in contact with your brand, and then you can create your funnel that way. Starting off with the widest being where most people interact with your brand, and then as your funnel gets more narrow, it's the final points would be obviously your website where people make their purchase or where they download your app. Before you start trying to reach out to potential customers or new prospects, there are a few things that you really should understand about your product and your customer. The first being the minimum viable product, or MVP. And at another way to say that's basically what do they really need from you and how do you get it to them in the most simplest form. You really want to understand what value customers are going to receive from your company, your brand, or your product, because that'll better help when you think about marketing, because like marketing is all about eliciting a certain emotion from people, and you want to be able to solve any problems that they have and make them feel great about it. So really want to understand what that value that you offer is and how you can best give it to them in the most simplest form. Another thing that you should take care to understand before you start trying to acquire customers is, this goes back to your funnel, is understanding where they spend time online and offline. This makes it easier to figure out where you want to reach people, whether that be at a gym or at a store or at a barbershop. Understanding where they spend time and where you can like basically get mind share or attention is incredibly important. This will help you devise or build out customer profiles and understand where people are and what's important to them. Understanding what their value systems are, what they care about, what they eat, drink. All of these are important because all of these are various places where you could possibly reach new customers. Because like, again, marketing is the most important and most expensive part of most businesses. So understanding how to be most efficient with those dollars is important. Like a general rule of thumb is that your CAC, or your customer acquisition cost, should be about 1/3 of your LTV. So that's something that you want to keep in mind when you go out and start doing marketing and trying to attract new customers. You can figure out where your customers spend time a variety of ways. One being just talking to them. Interview potential customers or people who you think would really want your product or service, and ask them what they do on the weekends, where they spend, like what do they watch on TV, what websites do they visit. And you can survey a ton of users or potential customers to kind of build those profiles and get an understanding of various, I guess, like funnels, customer funnels for each of those users. So yeah, it's a process where you want to iterate and go through a few times, and then you'll be able to build these specific customer profiles, and then you can market to each one of those profiles. And that should help when it comes to like maximizing your return or minimizing your CAC. Your ideal customer is someone who needs your product. The idea of a vitamin versus a painkiller is something that's important. You kind of want to think about. Vitamins are nice to have. They'll improve your life, but a painkiller is something that you need when you're in excruciating amounts of pain, and this will make your life immediately better at this point in time. That's how you can like kind of look at defining your ideal customer, because you want someone who, if your product disappears overnight, they will be up in arms, upset, and incredibly mad that your product is no longer available. So when talking, you want to, like I said, mention, you want to define those customer profiles and then figure out which one of those customers are your ideal, because without your product, their life would not be able to function the same way. There are a ton of customer acquisition strategies out there, whether that be like search engine optimization or search engine marketing, paid marketing through Facebook or a bunch of various channels, app store marketing, content marketing, PR, affiliate marketing, referrals, events, social media. There's a bunch of stuff out there that you can do, even sales, to be honest. But when you're strapped for cash, you have to get super creative and scrappy in figuring out ways to introduce people to your brand or your company. Creating content that you own is free. Right? Whether that be writing blog posts, trying to create videos, taking pictures, anything that you could do to like drive traffic to your website for free is a great way to get started, right? If you build trust with the community or a set of people, then they will share your content across their networks or their audience as well. Right. And when it comes to like your blog, you want to make sure that you're hitting on the keywords, right? So that you want to do some research and figure out what people are searching for when they discover your product, and try to weave those words into your blog post very casually throughout because Google has a bunch of like tricks to how to figure out if you're just like stuffing keywords, but you want to be like very specific in the way you do things and make it sound natural. And again, like building a community on social media is a great way to reach new customers for free. Like that's how we've done it at theCut. We've built up our Instagram page, and that's really how we've become a resource to both barbers, and now customers are also following us as well. Yeah, no, creating content that resonates with a group of people is a great way to do it for free, as well as like if you can set up a referral program or like any way that you can give away product for free via referrals, which doesn't really, I mean, that costs you money, but it doesn't cost you marketing, right? But yeah, you want to be creative and figuring out ways that you can get people to either share your brand or you can build a community that attracts people into your company or audience. theCut, social media has been our bread and butter since day one. In the early days, we basically would DM barbers like and ask them to download and check out our app. We probably sent out, well, before we launched, I scrubbed Instagram, and I probably had a list of about 10,000 different barber accounts who put their information, like their email or their phone number in their bio. And so I was able to like compile a list, put that into a spreadsheet. And when we first launched, I sent that out. We reached out to that list, and that's how we got our first like couple thousand users, right? But since then, we've continued to use Instagram. Like barbers are very visual, so like they were already posting photos. And so we've just helped them really get more exposure by reposting on our page. At first we were small, but now we've grown to over 115,000 followers, and we recently got verified, so that was lit. But yeah, no, social media has been key. Things that worked like along the way, in addition to social media, running AdWords on Google, and then also running ads on Facebook. Both of them we found success in. AdWords is great because like when people would search for like a barbering app or best barber in XYZ zip code, we would run like ads against those keywords, and then our app or ad would show up. So we've had success across those different channels. We've had less success with direct sales, just because like in the early days, my co-founder and I, we were not barbers, so walking into a barbershop was hard to sell. And then also they're typically busy throughout the day and they don't have that kind of downtime to talk. We've also had less success with like things like Spotify and Pandora. We're also maybe a little impatient. A lot of those like channels take longer to build audience and to really have your brand resonate or your company become memorable. But yeah, social media has been key. We haven't really dabbled in too many other campaigns outside of or any other channels outside of that. But we're looking this year to really test a bunch of different things to see what else works, what other channels we could tap into. At theCut, we've learned a few things about acquiring customers, mainly being Instagram is our key to success, but also so is word of mouth. And like I tell you, a lot of businesses or a lot of investors will tell you, like if you can generate organic traffic, or if you can really own your distribution and word of mouth is your key way of acquiring new customers or users, then your business is in a very great place because you don't have to spend as much money, and no one trusts a referral better than something that you heard from your friend. For us, like what we've seen is that like once a barber downloads theCut, we'll see like a couple of days later, like a week later, another barber in the app or in his shop would download the app as well, because that initial barber started to see his business improve, whether that be through him getting more efficient or because he got a bunch of new customers the following week. And so we've seen that really help, where one barber would download it and then a couple other barbers would download the app a few days later. But then, yeah, outside of that, it's really around building community. And like I said, we really built this community on Instagram where we repost barbers within our network, but also barbers who don't use theCut. We'll repost them to our page, give them a shout out. Barbers love that. It's like a nice little shot of dopamine for them. They'll share that reposting onto their Instagram, and then that'll help increase our reach. So it's really, I would say, double down on building community and really like finding people who will congregate around your product idea, because that'll help carry you so much further than trying to market to new customers. When you're acquiring customers or creating a plan of attack, you definitely want to track everything you do when it comes to acquire, like a customer acquisition. You want to create a dashboard where you can track the reach, engagement, cost, conversions, clicks, all the various like conversion metrics, you want to have visible so that you can see the health of your various campaigns. And as you start to see any of those metrics start to falter or start to decrease, that's when you want to start looking at pivoting, right? At some point, you may see that it starts to get more expensive, as in your CAC goes up. It might get more expensive for you to reach customers via this campaign. Or you might see that this ad now is reaching less people or is getting engaged with a lot less via views, likes, or clicks. And then you'll maybe want to start tweaking your ad, right? When we would run ads on Facebook or Instagram or Google, we would measure all of these various touch points on a weekly basis, and we would tweak the ad, whether that be the ad copy, like what you're saying, the text, or like the videos, or just very little things about the ad you play around with to really get it to be as effective as possible. But if you don't measure these things, you won't know. So yeah, you definitely want to track everything and start to see anytime the ad gets more expensive, it gets engaged with less. Those would be like kind of those key like points or key, I guess those red signs that you should start to revisit your marketing strategy. When it comes to creating a dashboard, it doesn't have to be some expensive software. It can literally just be a Google spreadsheet or an Excel spreadsheet. And there you just want to have like your column set up where you can track the name of the campaign, the channel that you're running it on, how many people the ad has reached, how many people have engaged, like watched it, how many people have liked it, how many people have clicked on it, how many people have made a purchase or downloaded your app. And once you have all of those like columns built in, then you have your dashboard built. And so then you'll track those campaigns over the course of the length of that, over the life of that campaign, whether it be a week, a month, whatever your duration is. And yeah, just want to stay on top of that and watch it as you continue to test new marketing strategies. Once you've acquired a customer, retention is everything. You never want to have a leaky bucket, meaning that you're acquiring customers who are leaving you after one purchase or no purchase at all, who opened and downloaded your app but actually never used it. Because there's no point of pouring more money into acquiring new customers if they'll leave immediately and you never really get to maximize how much value or money they bring in. In other terms, your LTV. So you constantly want to engage your customers, help them find the best products for their needs. You want to activate them. If you see they download it but then get started, you may want to send them an email or push notification. Hey, we see that you got started. Can we help you find something, or can we help you finish up your profile? Those things are very important. And then you want to have great customer service so that if at any point a customer or user feels like they need help, they can reach out to you and get a solution almost immediately. That'll help re-engage in customers and really help them build trust with your brand. And then over the long term, that will pay off and you'll see that your retention can be maximized.